So Stormtroopers are supposed to be one of the deadliest forces in the Star Wars universe, right? I mean, they make up one of the largest factions in the Empire's military, and Obi-Wan even says in A New Hope that these guys have a reputation for their incredible accuracy with a blaster.
These last points, too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise.
That having been said, every time we see them, they can't really seem to hit anything, and they usually just get their asses stomped by some rebel scum and teddy bears. How is that even possible? Was Obi-Wan lying to us? I mean, he has been known to make stuff up from time to time.
The good man who was your father was destroyed. So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
That having been said, I'm pretty sure he wasn't lying about the Stormtroopers' aim. Sure, it may be treated like a total joke in real life, but there's actually a couple things scattered around throughout the canon Star Wars universe that explains why Stormtroopers can't seem to hit anything. But before I get into all that though, I'm gonna go over some of the other theories floating around about the Stormtroopers and why Palpatine still keeps them on the payroll, and sort of debunk them before I get into my explanation. So one of the bigger theories I've seen about this is that a Stormtrooper's aim was affected by the design of their helmets. According to the theory, the visor on the helmet, unlike those designed for the clone army years before, was really hard to see through, making it extremely difficult to aim at a target, let alone actually hit it. To be fair, this is one of the more believable theories out of the bunch I've looked at, given that it has been confirmed before that the helmet's visor wasn't the greatest, and that multiple characters have mentioned how hard it is to see out of the helmets. In A New Hope, Luke mentioned to Han in an unscripted moment that he couldn't see anything out of his helmet.
I can't see a thing of this helmet.
And in Star Wars Rebels, Rex mentioned something similar when he wound up in a firefight while wearing one.
This helmet. I can't see.
So there you go, the Empire just happens to have a bunch of shitty equipment. Mystery solved, right? Well, no. On top of the fact that this doesn't make any sense, why would an evil emperor who'd been planning a galaxy-wide takeover for years suddenly cut corners on the guys policing his planets and fighting off rebel forces? We've seen in numerous canon sources that a Stormtrooper's helmet is actually pretty useful. It has the usual skull protection you'd get from any other helmet, but it also has air filters to allow the wearer the ability to breathe in hostile environments. It had communication systems, enhanced your vision to make it easier to see in darkness, glare, and smoke, and included a heads-up display that could help with targeting, locating threats and allies, and also aid in navigation. Sounds pretty awesome to me. So why were Luke and Rex having such a hard time seeing with the helmet on? Well, the reason is because Stormtrooper helmets have a special recognition system so that only the assigned user can use the helmet effectively. If you accidentally messed yours up, or if it got stolen or something like that, you'd have to get maintenance to patch it up or mess with it and prove your identity yourself. Otherwise, you'd be stuck just looking through the shitty visor on the helmet without all the other gadgets that actually make it useful. The idea behind this feature was that it would keep rebels from trying to steal Stormtrooper armor and sneak aboard Imperial ships, and to prevent the sale of Imperial gear on the black market. Alright, so maybe the Stormtrooper helmets weren't all that bad, but what about their weapon of choice? The standard issue for Stormtroopers was the E11 blaster rifle, which was based on the DC-15 blaster used by the Clone Army during the Clone Wars. It had multiple settings a Stormtrooper could pick from whenever they needed to change up their tactics, and it had the ability to convert to a full-size rifle. That having been said, a lot of people seem to think that these blasters had bad recoil, to the point where anybody using it could barely aim straight. I've also sometimes seen some people add that Stormtroopers weren't really holding the blaster properly anyway, and allowed their shots to fly all over the place. This idea did get picked up a couple times in Star Wars merchandise, like for example the video game Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. There's a part where you can actually hear some of the Stormtroopers complaining about the recoil on their blasters and how it made their aim just fucking horrible. So can we blame the bad aim on the weapons? Well, not quite. Sure, Jedi Outcast may have confirmed that the E11 wasn't all that great, but the thing is that game's not really canon anymore, and nobody else has really mentioned the idea since. And the awkward shooting thing, I don't even know what that's about. I mean, think of all the times we've seen Stormtroopers, or really anybody using that blaster, actually hitting something. I mean, we've seen them mow down corridors of rebels, armies of Ewoks, entire rebel bases, so the blaster can't be that hard to control. Plus, you can actually see a couple times in the movies where Stormtroopers use the blaster scope to improve their accuracy even more, so they clearly know what they're doing as far as handling their weapons goes. Okay, so maybe the Stormtroopers really aren't the problem. What if the reason they can't seem to hit anything was because of something else then? Like, say, the Force. A lot of people seem to think that Force-sensitive people like Luke or Leia subconsciously use the Force to give themselves something like a shield, forcing the Stormtroopers to miss them if they got shot at. I mean, this one's not exactly a bad idea, especially considering what we saw in the most recent film entry in the Star Wars universe, Rogue One. In the movie, there's a scene where Donnie Yen's character walks across a beach while chanting about how the Force is with him, and not a single Stormtrooper was able to hit him.
I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me.
So is it safe to say that the Force is what's protecting everybody from the Stormtroopers throughout the original trilogy? Again, not quite. Sure, Rogue One may have provided a pretty convincing piece of evidence, but the thing is, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you look at the rest of the canon universe. Stormtroopers managed to hit plenty of rebel scum and aliens without any problems over the years, and any one of them could have been Force sensitive. Hell, even back when the Empire still used clones as Stormtroopers during Revenge of the Sith, they were able to mow down hundreds of Jedi and Force sensitive types. You seriously think all those guys weren't able to deflect some blaster fire or mess with a Stormtrooper's heads-up display or anything that would have kept them alive if they wanted to? So all that having been said, what's the real reason why Stormtroopers can't actually hit anything? Well, I'm pretty sure it's simply because Stormtroopers are super loyal and they followed every order they were given, even the ones about capturing rebels or allowing them to escape somewhere or just stunning them and letting them live. I mean, think about it, it makes sense. There were multiple moments in A New Hope where Vader ordered the Stormtroopers to capture a target.
Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive!
Or to let the main characters, with the exception of Obi-Wan, escape the Death Star so that the Empire could find the Rebellion's base of operations.
Are they away?
They've just made the jump into hyperspace.
You're sure the homing beacon is secure aboard their ship?
And because that worked out so well, Vader also gave specific orders in both The Empire Strikes Back.
You are free to use any methods necessary, but I want them alive. No disintegrations.
As you wish.
And Return of the Jedi.
Good work, Commander. Leave us. Conduct your search and bring his companions to me.
To leave the rebels alive for capture. That worked out beautifully for the Empire, didn't it? Now I know there's probably some of you out there like, oh come on, that's dumb. Nobody would just let their enemy get away if they're getting shot at or if other Stormtroopers are being killed, right? Stormtroopers are just dumb, they're bad shots. But it's true, Stormtroopers are loyal to a fault. They may not have been captured as kids and brainwashed, like the First Order does to boost their numbers, but the Empire had their own ways of producing loyal soldiers. As we saw in the Star Wars Rebels episode Breaking Ranks, Imperial cadets were subjected to rigorous exercises and training programs designed to force the cadet to ignore things like friendship and to focus solely on the mission.
There is no friendship in war. The only thing that matters is victory. Victory at any cost.
The guidebook Ultimate Star Wars even mentioned that Stormtroopers were taught to disregard their dead comrades and keep fighting even if/when the odds were stacked against them. This of course explains why they'd keep fighting even when they were getting their asses stomped by a bunch of teddy bears. All joking aside though, the Ewoks actually would have lost had it not been for Chewie hijacking one of those walkers. And speaking of Ewoks, I know everybody likes to make fun of them like they're just little funky looking teddy bears and all that, but those little bastards are no joke. I mean, we saw them chucking boulders as big as they were, and based on their encounter with Luke and Han, I think it's safe to assume that they could/would literally eat people. You better believe those little fuckers could do some damage to some Stormtroopers if they wanted to. But anyways guys, that's my take on the whole Stormtroopers can't aim myth. If you guys like this video and you agreed with anything I've said, or you have your own theories you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to click that like button, maybe leave me a comment while you're at it, and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out any of my social media pages. I've got a Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All those links are going to be in the description below. And I've also got my last video right there in the middle of your screen. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and click it, check it out. Alright, and I will see you all next time.